Hi everyone, today I want to talk about Gemma. This is going to be an introduction video about Gemma. And by the end of it, you will understand what is Gemma, what is open model, how to deploy them, how to use them, how to test them. You will have a very good foundation to go on and continue your journey of using Gemma and open model in general. Thank you for Google, for the Gemma team to create these slides. I'm using their slides. Jetta-chan, you're awesome. Thank you. So let's just start in the beginning. It's a very good place to start. So what we're going to go over today is we're going to understand, first of all, what is LLM to begin with. And then from that, we can understand what is SLM and open models. And then we're going to talk about the differences between Gemini and Gemma. We're also going to talk about the Gemma, how to deploy it. We're also going to talk about Gemma in general, how to deploy it, how to test it. I'm going to do a very brief overview of the release timeout because I really want to spend more time on how to use Google AI Studio as a great playground to test, understand, even deploy Gemini. So you can, in the end of this video, you can start working with it and play with it and understand it. We're also going to talk about the community. So let's just move on. So what is LLM? LLM is a large language model, and in the name, we already have all the clues that we need. It's a large thing, which means it was trained on a huge amount of information. It's a language model, which means we could expect that we do something with language. And model, well, that's mean that it's a machine learning model under AI model. So yeah, that's everything about AI. And the most important thing that we need to know about it is that someone took a lot of information, really a lot of language information, and train a model to understand language, to be able to understand the prompt that we give it and to respond with language to us. So that's like the foundation of LLM. I'm not going to dive in about how it's creating the response, the prediction and all that stuff. That's for a completely entire video. But in our video, what you need to understand is what is SLM, which is a small language model. Yeah, it makes sense. This is large, this is small, which means less information. So it has less knowledge and it was trained on a small data set. And you may say, well, if it's smaller and less data set and less knowledge, why do we even need that? And this video is exactly why you need to understand why it's a good thing to have SLM and how we can use them to our benefit. So let's move on. Of course, if we doing the comparison, we need to compare between Gemini and Gemma. Okay, so when we're talking about large language model, let's talk about Gemini. Gemini, I hope you all know it. If you don't know it, just go to any Google product today, have like this logo of Gemini inside of it, and you can use it. And basically, it's a large language model, which means it's running on Google services. And it's a huge one. It's their flagship model. It really understands well languages. It really have a lot of knowledge. It can connect into different tools. It can connect to the search. It can ground the response that it's doing and make sure that you're getting the right response. And basically, when you're using it for your own product, from your own code and development, you don't need to worry about it. You just immediately can use it with the API. You don't need to worry about hosting it or paying money for the machine that run it or train it or whatever. You just use it as is. That's the advantage of it. That's also the disadvantage of it. And we'll talk about it. But let's first talk about Gemma. So what is Gemma for? Gemma is Google family of open model. I said open model, not open source model. I heard so many people doing this confusion. It's not the same. The thing that is important about open model is that we can download it and we can continue the training of it. And when Google built Gemma, they used the same research of Gemini, but they built something that is smaller and allowed us to download it and use it for our own need and even to continue the training of it. So just to recap, Gemma is smaller than Gemini. But that is the point. That's a good thing that it's smaller than Gemini. Now, let's go and find out why. Okay, I said it before. Big model have a lot of knowledge and was trained on a lot of data. That means they need a lot of resource, which means to run them, you need electricity, you need very strong infrastructure, and you need to manage all of that, and that's cost a lot of money. need a lot of expertise. And frankly, for some of the tasks that we need, we don't need all of that mess. We can use it in a smaller brain. And that's the advantage of SLM. They are smaller, less trained, which means we can continue the training just to make sure that there will be very laser focus on what we need. Think about it as you just taking someone that didn't learn everything, which means doesn't have a lot of opinion about everything, and you can just training on specific tasks and say, this is all the information you need to know in order to do this task perfectly. And that's the huge advantage that SLM have on LLM. Basically, the gap of knowledge of SLM is the advantage that developers can ride on and complete this gap in order to achieve better results from the model. Let's start talking about when are we going to use the SLM. What scenario? The first scenario is very obvious. I want to use it wherever I want to use it. I don't have to be connected to the internet or whatever. Maybe I want to do it on device. For instance, this is Jetson Orion Nano. And if you know Raspberry Pi, this is Raspberry Pi Big Brother by Nevada, and it can run Gemma on it. So I can just download Gemma, even do some fine-tuning on it, deploy it on this device, connect this device to whatever I need, and then I have brain on the site that can make decision based on what I taught it. And it's pretty easy to put it on drone and then make the drone have decision making on the spot without connecting to the internet to real-time models that make decision. This is a huge advantage. Other advantage could be that you're not allowed to send your data to a different server. Let's say that you are working in a hospital and the data you have is private. Maybe by regulation, you don't allow to send it to Google server. So you need to have something on your server that you can deploy, and you will still have a model that can help you to do your work. And the last thing, as I said before, you can train it. You can add more information on it. So for instance, let's say I'm inventing a new language, right? This is my own private language. Now I can take Gemma, teach Gemma this language specifically, and then I have a translation between English and my new language. And I can deploy it wherever I want. I can actually put it also on the servers, on Google servers, and say to everyone, hey, if you want to speak my language, go there. So that's the advantages that we have when we're using Gemma. So let's talk about the caveats. Okay, we say we can download Gemma and train it and deploy it, but that's come with a lot of work. Because now we are responsible of where we're hosting it, how we're hosting it. We need probably to pay for that. We need to make sure that everything is running properly all the time. And if there's a lot of demand from the model because we have a lot of customers, it's up to us to make sure that everything is working. Unlike Gemini, that Google's doing the work for us, now it's our responsibility. And for that, we also need to understand what's the limitation of the knowledge of the model. Task that I will give Gemini, I won't give to Gemma if this is a task that's talking about general knowledge and I need someone who knows it all. So the best way to look at it is like big brain and small brain. Big brain need more energy and management, but also know much more things. Small brain needs less energy, but you need to teach them just specific job to do. Or you don't even have to teach them. They'll still have like basic stuff they know how to do. We'll see that in a moment in the demonstration. So another advantage that Gemma have is that it's coming from Google AI team. And when it's come to Google AI, safety and responsibility is like their top priority, always. I'm not going to get too much into that slide, but I'm just going to tell you, when it comes to safety, when it comes to testing the model, when it comes to using something that you know it came out from a company who really care about the stuff, Gemini and Gemma are, from my point of view, the leading of the industry when it comes to those two very important topics. And unfortunately, other companies sometimes not taking those topics that serious, and you can see that in the results. But I'm definitely not going to get too much into that. Let's talk about the release history of Gemma. Gemma is not even 2 years old. And what you see here is only the major release. There are more released in between that happened. This is just like the top release that we can talk about. Theoretically, in the slides, Google gave all the information about the first version, the second version, but all I really care is about the third version, because I was there when it was announced to the world. I was in Paris. I was invited to see the announcements of Gemma 3. It's back then when I started playing with Gemma, I realized that this is a shift between version 2 than version 3. It's actually a complete different model. And from my point of view, the understanding was when I start to give it a task and I get the result, same result I used to get from Gemini version 1, 1.5. And I said, wait, but this is still a small language model. How can he answer to me in the same way that an LLM answered to me before? And then I realized that in 1 year, they did something like completely amazing with this model. And that was the first time I actually started to deploy Gemma into production agentic workflow that I had, because I could actually trust it without even doing the more training or fine-tuning of it. Just use it as is as a model. For small tasks, it did an amazing job. And a few months after that, we actually got Gemma 3N, which is based on the technology of Gemini Nano. So that could be on device. And once again, the result was really, really surprising. I can't wait for the next version of Gemma just to see what's going on and how they're going to take it forward, because I believe that if this improvement will continue, we will have Gemma that can perform as good as Gemini 2.5, which for me, it's a mind-blowing. If that will really happen, that will be like crazy for me. But let's hope, let's wait. So that's everything I'm going to say about the release, because I really want to jump into the demo. The best way to play, test Google models is in their playground, which is Google AI Studio. What you need to do is type on your browser the ai.dev, and that will lead you to aistudio.google.com. And that's what you see here on my screen. Welcome. If that's your first time, don't worry, I'm going to explain everything. We're going to stay here on the chat area, and on the right side, we have all of Google models to our disposal. So we can choose whatever of them. We can play with the new Nano Banana, or take the Gemini 2.5 Pro to a spin, or whatever. We want Gemma. Let's click Gemma over here, and then I will take any model, and now it's loaded. I can change the parameters as a developer. So I can select the temperature if I want it to be more creative or less creative. It's my choice. And I can see, I can limit the output length. I can play with the top T. I can do everything that I can do directly with the API. I can probably do it over here. But let's just skip that and says, tell me about the moon. And I click here to run. So now we have a prompt and we have a results. And as you can see, it's running. It's also giving some counting of time, and we can see the results coming through. So that's us asking Gemma a question. As you can see, as a small language model, it still have a lot of knowledge about the moon, and it's keep going here, which is nice. And whenever I have something that I want to see if Gemma can handle it, I will probably go to AI Studio. And the beauty about AI Studio, well, it's not even done. Look how much information it gave me. Let's just stop it over here. Thank you very much. The beauty about AI Studio is that I can compare between models. If you're going to Gemma over here, you see that there's a lot of different versions of Gemma 3. So we have Gemma 3N, Gemma 3N. So this is Gemma 3N E2B, Gemma 3N E4B, and stuff like that. Let's just focus on Gemma here, Gemma 3. So we have the 1B, 4B, 12B, 27B. This is the sizes of the model. Okay, and as I said before, it doesn't mean that if it's bigger, it's better. It just means that it's have bigger brain, that's it. But you still can get great result from a very small model. And why do I care about the size? Because now I'm responsible of hosting it. So if I want to put it on a cheap hardware, I probably should use a smaller model. But if I have like few GPU, maybe I can use the 27B. So let's just start the basic one, the 1B, and let's compare it. Okay, so I'm starting compare mode. And here I can choose which model I want to compare. So in the left corner, I want to compare Gemma 3 1B. And on the right corner, I will use the 12B, just to see the comparison. Tell me about the sun. Now you can see the speed and the quality of the results side by side. As you can see, both of them has a lot to say. And what I really like to do is maybe sometimes to compare between Gemma and Gemini and to see what's the results. Of course, I can play with the prompt and stuff like that. So let's just change that to Gemini 2.0 Flash. Okay. And change and leave low. Let's just put that on the 27B. That could be a nice comparison. Translate my name is Daniel to Italian. Okay, so I wrote translate my name is Daniel to Italian. So as you can see, Gemma actually started to run faster and gave me more information than I got from Gemini. So Gemini was already trained that if someone asked to translate, it just wanted to translate. So it just told me like, most of the way to do it is like writing like this, mi chiamo Daniel. But if I'm going to Gemma, I see that I actually got more information. Now, that could be changed based to the prompt. So in the prompt, I can give you like a one-shot example. How are you expected to get the answer? So now when I'm asking it like this, let's see what's going to be the results. Okay. Once again, Gemini just gave me the answer. Gemma gave me a little bit more, but I can probably even fix that with few short example and that will be done. So that is a beautiful way just to play with it, and you don't have to be a developer to try stuff. But if you did it and you decided to share it with your developers and you said, okay, this is what I want to do. I did some testing, I found the right prompt, and I want you to create me a solution with that. Your developer, or if you are the developer, can go to get code, and here, depends on your language that you choose, you just have the code to run, which is amazingly easy to run from this point. So now, not only it saved me time as a developer, it also just gave me the right example that you tried it. And now I can go on and build a product upon it. But I also told you that I'm going to teach you how to deploy Gemma in a very cheap way. So inside AI Studio, when we are working with Gemma, we have another button over here that appears only when we're working with Gemma, which is the deploy option. And if I will click over here, I can deploy it on Cloud Run. Now, if you don't know Cloud Run, the beauty of that is that I'm deploying it on Google Cloud Services, but I'm only paying for what I'm using. So it's not that I'm hosting server that I need to pay all the time for holding it, even when I'm not using it. Only when I'm using it, I'm going to pay it. And that's usually very, very, very cheap. So clicking deploy, I selected a project that I already had existing in GCP, and now I'm just clicking on deploy. It will take time, so I'm pausing the video so you won't waste time. Okay, so I got a deployment. I have a URL here. I have an API key that I will need to use, and it tells me already what model it deployed. And if I click get the code, I have the code with the key. Don't worry, I will delete this project, and I can just use it on my own instance. Now, it's not going to be for free. Yes, you're still going to need to pay for running the instance of the Cloud Run, but trust me, that's not even compared to deploying it on, let's say, Vertex AI and had your own server running all the time and waiting for you to send messages. So we just deployed very easily. And if you have any more questions about AI Studio, feel free to ask them in the comment. Just keep in mind, those environments keep changing all the time. So it might be that you won't see exactly the same user experience as you see right now on my screen, but it's probably there and you just, maybe the button changes, the model maybe changes and stuff like that. Just look for it. It's probably still working. And if not, once again, look at the comment. Maybe something already been changed and I already wrote about it. Let's go back to our presentation. We cover everything that we need to know about Studio AI. Great. We also deployed. Okay, so we finished testing and learning a little bit about Gemma for ourselves, but there's other way to learn about Gemma. And the best way about open model is that usually there's a huge community behind them. And the same things go for Gemma. So if you want to learn more about it and to get even understanding about the machine learning side of it, the math behind the genius, there's two places, actually there's one place, but there's two places that you can play with Gemma, which is one of them is Kaggle, the other one is Hugging Face Hub. I'm not going to talk about Hugging Face. I am going to talk about Kaggle because this presentation is by Google. Kaggle, it's machine learning community and a platform that you can learn, try, test, compete. So many things you can do in this environment. If you want to go a little bit on the nerd side, I suggest you will just pay the visit and learn about this environment a little bit more. I'm not coming from the machine learning area, so my time in Kaggle is purely for learning and inspiration. And this is how I'm doing it. So let's just, if you need to go there, feel free to use the QR code. And this is where I'm getting all of my inspiration. The competition. So inside Kaggle, there's a lot of different competitions. Some of them are purely for machine learning experts. Other, like the one that we had for Gemma, is actually for almost any developer. And for me, this is like the best way to learn how other people using the model. And for instance, we used to have this competition there. And what I did is just during competition, I went inside and see all the submission of people. It was a huge amount of inspiration just to see how people are using the model and for what. And that gave me so much crazy idea just for things like, oh, he did it like this, he connected like that. Oh, that's a brilliant idea. Maybe I can do it too. Maybe I can use it in my own project. It's a great source of inspiration. And once again, as I said before, if you want to understand better, just go to the discussion. There's a huge information about how things are happening. Also, I think there's a very good support from the Google team that is active over there. So that's another advantage. Conclusion. So what we learned today? We learned about LLM and SLM. What's the difference between them? Why open models are so important to the industry and when to use open model and when not to use open model. We learned about Gemma, a little bit about the history, very much about the present. We learned how to play with it, test it, deploy it. And also we got some sites where we can get more knowledge, how it's been done, where the community is hanging out. And that's it for today. So if you learned something new, please like, subscribe, and share it with other people so they can learn it too. If you like this type of content, please write in the comment. See you in the next time.